Hello everyone. So today we are going to be going over how to fill out your Douglas Active Management Area application for irrigation grandfathered right. Here we are at the home page of the online application portal. So on the left-hand side, you can see we have Douglas applications here. We're going to go ahead and click on the irrigation grandfathered right. And again, if you find this process going a little bit slow, you might want to kill some programs or close down some tabs on your browser. The first question is essentially asking who you are. If you are the landowner or the person applying for irrigation grandfathered right, go ahead and click Self. If you are a consultant or an attorney filling out for a client, go ahead and select Others. For now, we're going to hit Self. All right, the first page here you can see just has a disclaimer reminding you that the application has a fixed fee of $75. It also has the active management area phone number if you have any questions during this process. So question 1 is going to ask you what the owner's information is. Now, if you're logged in under your account, it'll auto-populate all of this information here, but you just want to make sure and double check that this information is correct. If you have any other owners to add to this application, if you are applying jointly as multiple owners, you can hit this box down here and add extra owner information if you would like.
And if you are a delegate, you will need to make sure that your owner of the property is already in the system, and you will be asked to search for them by their email address.
All right, and as we go through this application, it's important to note that you should never use your forward and back browser buttons. That could potentially delete all the hard work that you've put into this application. So when navigating through these pages, make sure to either click the previous or next buttons to go back and forth. If you find yourself needing more time, you can hit save for later and always continue the application later. If you do hit save for later, it's going to ask you to confirm or not. Once you hit OK, once you log back in, you will see this application in your to-do list on your homepage. All right, we're going to hit next. All right, question 2 is asking for each parcel of land that was legally irrigated at any time between August 30th, 2017 and August 30th, 2022, indicate the assessor's parcel number, the acreage, the legal description, and the GIS or GPS coordinates for each parcel. It's important to note as well that irrigation is defined in the groundwater code as the application of water to 2 or more acres of land to produce plants or parts of plants for sale or human consumption or for use as feed for livestock, range livestock, or poultry. All right, so this page is asking you information about previous irrigation authority numbers under the previous Douglas INA and parcel information for each. So if you have a previous irrigation authority number associated with your property, go ahead and add that here. And then if you only have one parcel number associated with that previous irrigation authority number, that is fine. We're going to enter that in here. The number of parcels associated, or the number of acres associated with this parcel, we're going to put 123. All right, now it's going to ask you for the legal description. You can find this on your deed. Now, once you build in these options here, it's going to spit out a legal description for you here. Just make sure that that as closely as possible resembles what you see on your deed. We also want to add in GIS and GPS coordinates. All right, now if you find yourself having multiple parcels associated with one irrigation authority number, you are going to want to click this upper Add button here. That will give you an extra slot to repeat the irrigation authority number and add that extra parcel in here. And you'll just repeat the information for each parcel. So we want to add the GPS coordinates and the legal description. Now for each of these parcels, we're going to ask you to upload a file of the deed. So if you have, on the flip side, multiple irrigation authorities associated with one parcel, you can click this lower Add button to add those here. All right, moving on to question 3. Here is where we ask you for a county assessor's map of the land, of all the land described in number 2, and we want you guys to indicate the location of the wells described in a later question that we will get to. All right, question number 4 is asking how many acres you irrigated within the statutory time frame, and that time frame is between August 30th, 2017 and August 30th, 2022. Now, we want you to enter in any acres irrigated in each of those 5 years. So let's say, for example, you irrigated 50 acres in 2017 and you just kept building your operation. So we can say 250 acres the next year. Maybe something happened to where you had to take a year off. We would want you to put 0. And let's say, for example, you took a couple years off. We would put 0 there. In 2021, you also irrigated 120, and you got your irrigation operation back up and running. Now, if you find yourself in a situation where you're having to put zeros across the board, this is where you might want to look into the substantial capital investment attachment to this application. And we remind you all of that here. And you can always give us a call if you have any questions about substantial capital investment attachments. All right, question 5 is asking for the well information. So that information, what we want to see here is the well registry number, the year it was drilled, if not it's owned by you, and the measuring device type. So if you want to add well information, hit this button here. And the first part is the well registry number. Each well registry number starts with a 55 dash, and we complete that for you so you don't have to worry about it. And it's followed by 6 digits. We're just going to say this was drilled in 1930. Now, if you don't have a measuring device for your well, you can hit no measuring device specified. Otherwise, we have different types of measuring devices that are approved by the department. And this question here, if it is owned by you, go ahead and check this box. Now, we know a lot of folks will have 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 plus wells on their property, so just keep hitting that button until all wells are added. All right. Question 6 is going to ask you if the land is served by an irrigation or agricultural improvement district. If you click no, that's all good. If you click yes, we're going to need you to specify which one. So for example, down in Douglas, the only irrigation district down there is Elfrida. Question 7 is asking you if groundwater is the sole source of water for irrigation. If you hit yes, there's nothing to do after that. If you hit no, it's going to ask you what types of water you use to irrigate if it's not groundwater. And we have a couple examples. You got surface water, effluent, etc. Question 8 is going to ask if you have owned the land since August 30th, 2017. Clicking yes will result in no additional information. If you hit no, we do want to know the name, the date of purchase, and the address for the previous owner. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. Alrighty. Question 9 is asking information about crops grown during those years. So let's go ahead and hit add crop. Let's say we grew maize. Now for this time frame, we're only looking at crops grown within the 5-year statutory time frame. So only dates within 2017 and 2022 are going to be available to choose. Here we are asking how many acres were grown for each crop during that time frame. Irrigation method can be drip, it could be pivot, it could be sprinkler. Cropping pattern could also be pivot or rows, or however you feel best describes the cropping patterns that you are using. And the total number of acres planted all right. Question 10 is asking for the amount of water used from each source in each of the 5 years. So the total amount of water used for those acres. So let's say, for example, you applied 1.5 acres to, let's say, for example, you applied 1.5 acre feet of water to 200 acres of crops. You would just multiply 1.5 times 200, and that should get your number. And it's going to ask you if the above amounts are measured or estimated. If it's measured, we want to see a groundwater document showing that. If it's estimated, we don't require documents. So the first section is going to be groundwater. The next one's going to be surface water, effluent, and other. All right, question 11 is just going to ask if you've made use of any of the following. If you choose other, it's going to ask you what you mean by that. For lined ditches or pipes, it's going to ask you the percent of your ditches that are lined. If you select pump back system, it's going to ask you the number of acres served. If you select land leveling, it's going to ask you how many acres were leveled. And for other, it's also going to ask you the number of acres affected by whatever that other activity is. Now, question 12 is asking what sources of information were utilized to fill out this application. For yes, um, for all of these guys, you can either choose yes or no. For other, it's going to ask you to specify what other sources of information you've been using. And this box that appears here is going to remind you that all this information is extremely important. It's very important that it is as accurate as possible to the best of your knowledge. All right, this is a very, very important screen. So here is your last chance to go back and verify that the information is correct. Once again, don't use the back buttons on your browser. Just make sure to use this previous button here. If you go back and find out you need more time, you can always hit save for later as well. And then in a future video, we are going to go over how to attest and how to pay the application fee. See ya.